Welcome to another edition of African Americans Ain't Africans, the talk think show that proves without a shadow of a doubt that the so-called person that they call in America African American, Black, Negro, colored, Moor, Hebrew, blah, 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 all of those people are not those fictitious names. They are the people that America birthed. They are the tree. They are the fruit that comes with the tree. And since America's the tree, her children are the fruit, that would be called what you call African Americans. And that's why we say African Americans ain't Africans. Their home is right here in America. During this COVID-19 thing that's going on, there's a whole bunch of scare going on. Nurses are up in New York working, and the sisters that are going from down south to up north, they saying it's real. And they saying Negroes are dropping like flies. A lot of the information that's going around the community is whack information to keep us confused and dumb, like we like to be in. We're not paying attention to what's going on with really. Phoenix Moon mentions a lot of time because she's up in New York, what they're doing up there. And this is why I say we gotta have our own stuff, guys. We gotta do our own thing. We gotta live for ourselves, not through somebody else. And the way we're living lives now, especially if you're living in the United States of America, the so-called African American, they get their cue from the people that created them. We're in a precarious situation because it seems like our lives are controlled by somebody else and we're cool with it. Are we going to let that go? Is this what we're going to pass down to our children? If you say, yeah, you a damn lie, you don't love your children. You just had them to turn them over to boss. You ain't taught them nothing. None of the resources on this planet. You ain't taught them about their grandparents. And now we're in this situation. What are we going to do? Well, one of the things we're going to do today is check out how, as human beings, how we're charged up, where we get our energy from, where it comes from. What are we to do with it? Are we to just keep letting these foreigners come over here and use us like dish rags? Because you notice now with all this is going on, you don't hear none of the rappers or the entertainers or the football stars. Why? Because their funds are cut off too. And that's all the African America seems to worship, people with money. That's it. They could walk on water. If they ain't got no money, they a broke nigga. We ain't messing with them. That's how the African American thinks. All that's about to change. So what we're going to do today, we're going to give you some information to make you look at yourself a little bit different. Because you're a whole lot more than what they say you are. The people who constructed you, they say you're an African American. And when you break down African American, you'll realize that the African is nothing more than a battery. The African American has no history. The African American wasn't present 50 years ago. They're a new construct, and the people who constructed them, they also gave them instructions on what to do. So today we're just going to give you some information about yourself on the cellular level, because you all know that you are a cell. We all are. I mean, we're not a cell, but we have the properties of a cell. So, Infuse Virgo is going to give us some information about cellular nutrition. I would implore that you listen to this, take notes, have your kids around and share with them because they need to know it too. It's best if they know it now, because these are some of the properties and powers that you have. And we just want to share them with you today, and maybe you can share with somebody else. Infused Virgo. What's happening, babe?
Not much. How are you guys doing today?
Well, listen. Well, wait. While we do this, let's just. I just want to go ahead and get into the slides because there's a few of
Okay.
them. But I'm gonna let you talk, and I'm gonna do everything else. Okay. So you take it
Okay.
away, and you just tell me next slide when you want the next slide.
Okay. Well, you guys, first I want to say that I am not a professional in this field at all, but I just happened to do some, research or look up some information and read quite a few books, as well as speak to some people in regards to the information that I'm sharing today. I'm sure everybody has more, but I just wanted to reach out and offer some information about nutrition, especially after going grocery shopping and watching people grocery shop for a time when they're supposed to be a pandemic and a virus going around that is attacking your body completely. It's from what I understand, is shutting down everything. So I really want to reach out to you guys and kind of share some nutritional information, break down the body, so that way we can make some better choices in regards to the foods we're putting in our body and leave some things in the store or wherever you're getting your food supply from that aren't good for you. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. And I'm going to start with basically explaining how our body is made up through the cells. Go ahead, whenever you're ready. Okay, so what is a cell? A cell is a structural, functional, biological piece of your body. It's the building block of life. It's what makes up everything in your body. You have blood cells, you have all kinds of cells that make up who you are.
So when we say a cell, okay,
Mm-hmm.
so when I hear the word cell,
Mm-hmm.
I automatically think of a battery.
Mm-hmm.
Could you explain it in those terms for me? Because
Okay, so in regards to a battery, we'll go with, like, for example, nerve cells. A battery, you have to add electricity to it or some type of current for it to pull the current that's within from the battery to make the product work. So basically, our cells work as batteries from that send charges through our body. You have like your nerve cells, which have neurons, which send electrical charges to your brain and your other body parts. So basically, it's like you have a whole bunch of batteries in your body, and they're all utilizing the energy from each other to help you exist and move and breathe and look and see and so forth.
okay, so basically, all these millions of cells in our body,
Mm-hmm.
they actually hook up with all the other cells to
Mm-hmm.
power us. To power
Yes.
us. Okay, I just
Yes.
want to get a.
Yeah.
Okay. Next one.
Yep. Okay, so I forgot to put million in here, but the average human body has 37.2 million cells, and that can kind of change on your physical size and your genetics too. Like if you're short, you're not going to have as many. They're looking at, the average height of a human, I guess.
Okay.
And
No. Okay. Okay. So this is for the indigenous people here.
mm-hmm,
Okay. So this is how we're taught. This is how these people taught us. So I want to ask you a question, and I think this is a lot of times how we stay confused because
okay.
they give us information, and just because they're saying it, we go with it. Okay,
Mm-hmm,
you're saying the average human has 37.2 million cells, right?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Who counted them?
Well, hmm.
Or is that how we're supposed to look at ourselves like that, and we're not looking at it how we supposed to really be looking at it? It's like we should be looking at ourselves through a lens other than he's an African American, she's a bitch, he's a nigga. We look at ourselves through these lenses that have been created for us. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying that, and I'm saying, are we looking at ourselves in the wrong way? When it comes to, to anything really, what we're being
Well,
taught.
Well, I think when it comes to cells, for one, they say average human. They don't specify ethnicity because they're kind of putting everybody into one group as human. I personally feel that everybody has a different cellular makeup due to ethnicity and also genetics. So I don't really think you can classify everybody into one, but they attempt to do so. And in regards to how they were able to find out how many cells a person has, there's a lot of experimentation that's done on people knowingly and unknowingly. So I would have to say that possibly with a lot of the unknowingly things that went on is how things were discovered within the human body. And from a book I read called Medical Apartheid, I'm understanding that it came from a lot of indigenous people. They used to go out and rob the graves of indigenous people and take the bodies and use them as cadavers. They used the so-called slave. They would do experiments on the so-called slave. The gynecology was actually, from what I understand, was developed by a doctor who practiced on slave women. So I'm saying, I'm not saying that is the case because I'm once again not a medical professional, but from what I read in the book, it was very detailed and stated that's how they do a lot of scientific experiments on the human body.
I mean, okay, I'm just asking because I think the more questions we ask about ourselves, the
Yes.
more we know, the more we find out. Okay, look, we go into the next one, right?
Yes. Yes. Okay, so basically the function of the cells within the human body are to provide the structure of the body. They're to absorb the nutrients of the food that we eat, convert these nutrients into energy. They contain hereditary material and can duplicate themselves. So our DNA is included in this. And each cell in your body has a diverse purpose and a function, and it's kind of like they have a brain of their own, so they can know exactly what it is they need to do. It's like when you cut yourself, your platelets will rush up to kind of coagulate the blood, so that way you can get a scar, and then you have your skin take over and so forth. So it all works together to maintain your immune system and your health and your physical appearance and so forth. Okay, so this is a list of the cells that are within the human body, and I'm gonna start off with stem cells, and we'll just go through the list, and I kind of did each one. We have stem cells, we have red blood cells, we have white blood cells, we have neuroglial cells, we have, if I said that right, I apologize if I didn't, muscle cells, skeletal muscle cells, cardiac, smooth muscle cells, we have cartilage cells, the platelets, which I just spoke about, which help coagulate your blood and maintain the blood flow. You got your blood cells, your bone cells, skin cells, which deal with your skin, your hair, have keratin in it, kind of help your hair to grow. You got your, I can't read that one, endothelial cells, which line the blood vessels. Once again, probably said that wrong. And epithelial cells line the body cavity and also are part of the skin. And then you have your sex cells, the sperm cells, the ovum, and so forth. I started off with the importance of stem cells, the embryonic and adult cells. I found this kind of interesting because I kind of came to an epiphany when I was doing it. So go ahead, Carrie. Okay, so we have umbilical stem cells, we have embryonic stem cells, and we have adult stem cells. The umbilical stem cells are basically located in your placenta and your in the umbilical cord. It's a very good source of blood stem cells, which are known as hemotopic stem cells. And in 1989, I found this interesting. That's when they started a lot of the research on stem cells from the umbilical cord and the placenta. And I kind of looked at it because the fact is that I had my oldest son in 89. And at that time, I had no idea of this information because I didn't take the time out to research it. But either way, I had my son, and the placenta and the umbilical cord went away. So I started to look into this a little bit more, and it's like I don't ever recall there being any type of disclosure in a hospital saying, hey, by the way, we're going to use your umbilical cord and your placenta for scientific research or whatever. Can we keep it? I mean, is that okay with you? They just kind of take it, and that's basically what they're using it for, because unless you have like a stem cell bank or you're saving your umbilical cord, or anything like that, but or even doing lotus births where you're taking it and then you're burying it outside, which is something that I wish I had have done at that time. But that's the information that I got from that, because I think of how many people really don't have this information, and they have a child and they just take the umbilical cord and so forth away. And just say, for example, your child was, or you or your husband or another child was to have a disease. These stem cells that you have manifested within your body and have came into creation can be saved and can be used to help your children or your family members. But it's being used to help children with blood diseases and adults who have other issues. And I even saw something where they were being consumed in like food by other people. So that's one. Then we have the embryonic stem cells, which are basically coming from embryos. And the only way that you can really take the stem cells from an embryo is if you have the opportunity to deal with fetuses that have been aborted, stillborns, miscarriages, and so forth. And so what they're doing with that is they're using those stem cells to help with heart attacks, Parkinson's disease, spinal cord injuries, really using that material, those cells, to replace tissues and that have been damaged on people. Once again, people are having abortions or having stillborns unless they're bearing their child, or miscarriages, and that fetal tissue is being used for other things. And I don't know, I haven't ever seen any type of paperwork that said, hey, by the way, once again. So that's something that you might want to think about if you are of childbearing age or are going to be having a child soon, is requesting that you get your umbilical cord and your placenta, so that way you can take it and bury it by a tree or wherever you want to bury it at. But I don't think this is we need to stop handing over basically our DNA. And that's one way that we've been doing that without any type of knowledge, is we're just going, oh, okay, well, we had the baby, they cleaned it up. Oh, see, after birth, you don't need that. Yeah, we need that. That's ours. And that's our DNA structure, our stem cells, and things that we can use to heal ourselves if ever there were any diseases that came about in your family. But with that limited information or lack of knowledge, it kind of left us leaving our DNA kind of out there. And then I went to the adult stem cells, which basically are your developed stem cells, and they work in your body to repair damaged tissue. You have children and adults have them. They're kind of undifferentiated because they're kind of all over your body and they're throughout. But there is a patch that I know of, and what it does is the patch, you put it on your body, and it uses phototherapy, which is light, so kind of like photosynthesis a little bit, and it starts to repair your stem cells. And that helps with things like arthritis and other degenerative diseases that are going in your body. If you have bad knees, things like that, it kind of works with your stem cells to repair those areas of your body. It is a process that you have to wear them for 12 hours a day. You take them off for 12 hours, you wear them for 12 hours the next day, you take it off for 12 hours. And they're a little costly. They're about $127 for a box, but the technology that is very popular in Europe, of course, and Africa and Asia. Never anybody ever heard of LifeWave X39 patches before? Yeah. So this is somebody that I met when I was at the cannabis show. So, and they gave me a few, and I tried them, and it was interesting you could feel it. But our stem cells are something that we can regenerate from understanding the science of the patch. But basically, this is information about what's going on with your stem cells from birth to death.
So there's a product that you can attach to you can put on your, like a patch. And that patch will draw in the energy from the sun to light up your body, your body.
Yes.
That's such a simple concept. But if the sun is beaming directly on you, what would be the purpose of the patch?
I think the patch is basically for kind of communicating to your stem cells to put them in effect to do exactly what they need to do to regenerate or repair some of your body. So it kind of helps generalize it and give it like a source to get it from. But if you're standing in the sunlight every day, you're sun gazing, you're still going to get the benefits. You're going to get your vitamin D. You're going to do all of these things. But I think the patch is to kind of guide that light to the areas of your body that need the most help and repair of your stem cells or whatever's going on.
Okay.
If that makes sense. That's how I'm kind of understanding how it works. But if you're out in the sun all the time, like, I mean, I'm out in the sun a lot, but I still know that there are supplements and things that can help along with the sunlight to kind of maybe speed up or reinforce the process a little bit more.
Yeah, because here's why I ask. Because the things that they do, they're always, like you say, they dig up cadavers and they always studying us, and they're always, like you say, getting the placenta and the cord blood and always studying it and studying it and studying it and seeing how they could use it for their benefit. How they're seeing how you can use like a battery. They're looking at the batteries, seeing how they can get every ounce of information out of them. And I don't think they know nearly enough about us still. And that's why I'm having you on, so you can show us, have us look at ourselves in another point of view. You know what I'm saying? Instead of looking at ourselves by the titles and the names that the dominant society gives to us, they name us. They tell us who we are. They tell us who we're told. They tell us everything about ourselves. I don't think that works to our benefit. And I think if we look at ourselves through our own eyes, we can do some shit.
I agree. And something too, Carrie, because it just really kind of came to me, but I could be wrong. I think that the patch used in certain ethnicities, such as white people, because it's done by light, and they really in Europe and like Norway and places like where this patch is popular, there's not a lot of sunlight all the time. I mean, there is, but it's not like being in like on the equator. So I think that patch helps to bring in the light to their body so it can repair their cells. But from the African people and the other indigenous people that I spoke to about the product when I went to the conference that they had here, they said they noticed a different type of feeling than other people. And they were talking about it because they're out in the sun more. So I noticed like there was a lady there that was like, she had to be about a good 78 years old. She looked great. I mean, and she didn't have plastic surgery. She didn't have anything. Her skin was amazing. And it was like she had locks and stuff like that. But she said the reason why she liked the patch is because it bound with her body differently. And she's like, and it made, she didn't have any aches or pains. And she said beforehand she did, but she also changed her diet along with using the patch. And she also was also using another product that I have too. And so we kind of compared the notes, and she was like, this is going to react differently within us because we have something that they don't. And she went back to referring to melanin. And I was like, it was an interesting conversation, but you just made me kind of think about it because of all of the things that we possess that other people don't. So I could look at it from that aspect too.
So do you think the people who are learning this information, because it seems that we're trying to learn more and we're trying to move forward and we're trying to make ourselves better people. Do you think the people who are learning this information, and it's like they're saying we're moving into a whole nother part of existence in the human experience? We're moving away from that age of Aquarius, so to say, something like that. Are you saying the people who learn this information and pick up new ideologies, new ways of doing things, are those the people who are moving us towards that age of Aquarius or whatnot? Because this is new information. I mean, you saying you can put a patch on your shoulder, and the sun will hit it, and it will regenerate. I mean, faster, better. I don't know. Whatever says. That's kind of new. That's kind of new technology, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm saying the people who are on that technology or who are looking in that technology, and from that technology, they'll look even deeper in that.
Mm-hmm.
Are those the people you saying that are moving to this new age, this age of Aquarius? We're not doing things the old way no more because the old way is too expensive or too health related. Like you said, a 70-year-old woman that looks 20, I've seen that several times lately.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Is that what we're supposed to look at it as? Is like we're getting this information, we're looking at ourselves different. We
I
just don't.
think I think I have two sides of the fence on that one, and I think because of reading information and kind of following Dr. Wilson and her speaking about the recessive genes of certain people as well as our dominant genes. I think that because of the fact that their birth rate is going down, their health is not that great. There's a lot of things that are affecting the European. And so I think that they're trying to set their continue existence into this place. And by trying to do that, they're coming up with ways to assist them with not having recessive genes, such as the patch, for example. Because like I said, in Europe, I've never been there, but I don't know if there's as much sun as there would be on the equator of Africa or South America,
No, it's
or
not.
even here. So exactly. So it's like I think that they're looking into these new health aspects and kind of spreading the information out to their communities, and it's happening to overflow into some of our communities, and we're finding out about it, and so forth. And I think that a lot of this started honestly with like Queen Afua and people, Dr. Layla Africa, Dr. Sabi, and other holistic doctors as well that I'm sure I don't know because they're not in the mainstream. But I'm sure there's more. There's some people on Facebook. I have a friend named Monique Nubia Sunshine, and she's very informative about like tinctures and tonics and proper nutrition. So I followed her and learned a lot from her as well as reading myself. So I think that the creation of these new Aquarius and leading us into doing things is kind of coming based off of our beliefs and our health at one time as indigenous people before industrialization and all this other stuff took place. And they've kind of taken it and broke it down and kind of taken it around and kind of twisted it a little bit and to use it for themselves. So they've kind of copied what we knew and then turned around to use it for themselves to make it into something else. So I could be wrong on that, but I kind of view it that way because I just pay kind of attention to some of the things that are going on around us, and it's just like I just kind of feel that's something that they're doing. They're kind of taking the information they've had for a long time, which they got from us, and they turned it around and applied science to it. So
I mean, I can see that, and,
mm-hmm.
and and that's one of the reasons why I say, we got to get back to ourselves because the doctors that you just named, Dr. Sabi,
Mm-hmm.
Queen Afua, all these people who have this information about
Mm-hmm.
health, shouldn't we have our own hospitals and stuff by now?
Yeah,
And,
we should. I mean, I know, at one time we did have our own hospitals, but they're no
no,
longer in
no,
it. Yeah.
no, but I'm saying now we have all this so-called information. We have all these historically black colleges and universities, blah blah
Mm-hmm.
blah. We have all this knowledge, and we won't say, and we still connect ourselves. And when I say dominant society, I know somebody in the chat said they're not a dominant society.
Mm-hmm.
They're dominating us, and so we have to stop looking at it how we want it to be and look
Right.
at it how it is.
Right.
That's something that we don't do. Got to look at it how it is. And right now they are dominating us. And we're trying to pretend like it's not happening. That's going to fuck us up even more. So with
True.
all of these, like Dr. Sabi, the Queen of Fool, who was doing the woman's health. We have and we haven't pulled these people together, and we haven't, with our energy sales, we haven't found a way for ourselves to pull all that information together and build hospitals or places to make people well all over this country. That's on us.
Yes, it is.
That's on us. And we always got something massive. No, I can't do it. No, we always come up with some old bullshit on how come we can't work together and do nothing. See, that's the problem I'm having. Because oh man, what I witnessed in the so-called Black community, the intelligence is running through there is some of the baddest in the world. And we just turn our backs on it. We don't care about them. Fuck you, nigga. That ain't what massa say. That's how we are. And so, with the sale that you're saying, I mean, keep going, because this is giving us a different way to look at ourselves.
Okay. So we'll go into the red blood cells. So basically, the red blood cells carry your oxygen into your body, as well as remove carbon dioxide from your body. You know, when you are breathing, that's basically how it gets in and out. They're also produced from the bone marrow. One of the things that I know is, like, we have a lot of is anemia, and that's an iron deficiency. It lacks you're lacking the proper iron in your blood cells. And so the red blood cells that are carrying the oxygen to your tissue aren't doing so with enough iron. And you need that. That's important. And those are, there are iron rich foods like prunes, dates, Dr. Sebi said that broccoli was a mutant vegetable or whatever, but it's very high in iron. Beans are high in iron. There's a few other things, because it's like, I don't like taking pills. I don't like the ferrous sulfate and things like that, the iron pills. I don't like those, because I think that vitamins have a lot of fillers in them. And so I'd rather get my iron from my food. And I know, like, if you eat something like a broccoli or something that has high iron in it, and you eat something citrus, it helps absorb that iron. So that's something that's needed for your red blood cells to be very healthy. Then you have your white blood cells. White blood cells basically are there to attack bacteria, viruses, and germs that invade the body. They also originate in your bone marrow, but circulate throughout the bloodstream, working with the red blood cells to kind of keep everything going and keep your immune system strong. I wrote a whole bunch of stuff on here. If you guys want to read through it, you can. But it's basically something that the red blood cells are your immune system transporting through your body, making sure that everything is being clean, that it's eating up any type of bacteria. Like if you cut yourself and you don't put some antibiotic cream on it, it's gonna heal. But because those white blood cells are gonna go there and work with the platelets and everything to get that to seal up, so you don't get any infection in your body.
So what are some of the simple things that we can do to make sure that this system about the white and blood red cells, what is it that we can do ourselves to make sure that this works at its optimum level?
Instead, eat properly, rest properly. I'm going to go into cellular nutrition a little bit later, that from what the stuff that I've read and I know, but proper diet, rest, exercise, state of mind, stress levels, things like that are important. This is your nerve cells. These are your batteries, basically. This is your battery system, and this is what is like connects from your brain, sends neurons, controls movement, just basically is the functional center of your body. It controls your muscles. This is where you get all your communication from.
Oh, I don't want to forget the people in the chat, because they are taking the time. They are taking the time to list. They are taking the time. So this is to Pookie JJ. And we're talking about dominant phenotypes. Because a lot of times the black community will always say, we're melanocytes, we're dominant, blah, blah, blah. We can do,
Mm-hmm.
but you're being dominated by another person. And I think that confuses a lot of us. So, brother, if you can write it in the chat, what do you mean by we're dominant? Because this is what I see, and tell me if it's not right. I see any black man on this planet, when they go, they have to ask their boss, can they do anything? They have to ask their boss, can they drive a car? They got to ask their boss, can they go to their rivers to get the fish? So when you say dominant, I mean, what do you mean, and what are you saying, and how do you explain that to the youth? Because you're saying we're dominant, but that's not what's happening in real life. So you feel like this whole shut down the country is shut down. Here's another example. So you can't do anything because somebody is shutting down the country. How are you dominant over them?
I think, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I think that maybe I'm wrong, but we're our genes, our genetics are dominant. Because, like, for example, I used it on a post I did. When you have an interracial couple, normally when there's a child born, the child takes on the features of the melanated person, the indigenous person. So I think in that aspect, we're dominant because our genes, our genetics, our DNA is more dominant in regards to producing and standing out and so forth, as well as being more dominant in regards to self-healing. In regards, we have an extra muscle in our Achilles heel or something like that. So there's just certain things that, because of our structure and the way that we're made, that make us more dominant in certain areas. So scientifically, genetically, DNA wise, so forth, I think in that aspect, that's what he's speaking of.
Okay, I got that.
Okay.
I got all that.
Okay.
All I'm saying, your genes, your melanocyte cells,
Mm-hmm.
the way you speak,
Mm-hmm.
every breath of energy you put out, if you are owned and controlled by somebody else,
It's control too.
that's all I'm saying. That's all
Yeah.
I'm saying. So
Yeah.
I think when we speak to each other, we got to be, because most of the time when we speak to each other, it's bullshit. We don't even know what we're talking about. That's 99.9% of the time. So I'm saying when we say stuff like we're dominant, you're not really dominant. It doesn't matter. None of that matters. We get caught up in the colors and all kind of bullshit that don't matter. We are being kicked around this planet by another people. What are we going to do about it? All that arguing and fussing and saying they genetically recessive, that shit don't work.
Right.
It don't work. And we keep doing it. So, that's my question. And that's why the sisters on to talk about you, how your body's made up.
Mm-hmm.
What are you? Who are you? What do you have? Why are they always trying to keep you in a position that they wouldn't want their mamas in? And why are we always so happy to jump in the position? What you want me to do next, boss? That's how the African American is, the highest of them. That's how we think. Stop trying to act and be bad with each other like you don't do that when you do. And this is what's confusing a lot of people. I talked to some sisters, and they're tripping off, what their kids do, because their kids not go-getters like their moms.
Right.
And it's like, well, why? Mothers think of some ways to make shit happen.
Right.
And this current crop of mothers, they looking at their kids like they don't have that same drive. What happened? And so it's what you're talking about today, these nerve cells, all these cells that are being tampered with, that are making sure we don't rise to the heights of our foreparents.
Yeah, I mean, because we're not really utilizing the strength within our bodies to optimize from it, if that's a word. But we're not really. Now, I can't say all of us, but a lot of people, especially from when I went grocery shopping the other day, are not understanding how the food that you eat affects everything around you and what you do. I mean, it's like if you skip getting water, and I disagree with the fact that we have to drink water out of a bottle, but that's a whole nother subject. But then you skip buying water, or or fresh fruit, to go to buy Pepsi, juice drinks, Cheetos, and fruit cocktail. You're defeating the purpose, and you're not really providing optimal nutrition for yourself or your family. And it's just like, because we're looking at grocery shopping from the, or spending money on food or growing food, if some of us do, but we're not using any of the gardening or anything like that, but we're depending upon the grocery store for our food. And if you're shopping on the inside of the grocery store, you're polluting every cell in your body. And so it's like, if you're eating like that and you're carrying a child, if you're eating like that and you're a child and you're being fed foods like that, then you wonder why children are being diagnosed with hyperactivity and ADHD and things like that, because the things that are being put in the food, that are canned, that are processed, that are frozen. I mean, and I'm not saying that buying the fresh fruit in the grocery store is better, because you have genetically altered fresh fruits and stuff as well. But in the logic part, if you don't have access to growing your own food, it would be better to eat the fresher fruits than the stuff in the can. And it's just like, I think we need to figure that out. In Pepsi, Coke, Sprite, all that stuff is so bad for you. It's like it's like, you think, oh, it's ice cold Pepsi, yeah, good. No, high fructose corn syrup is our enemy. It's the worst shit out there, aside from other things. But either way, it's in regards to drinking something. High fructose corn syrup is a modified form of sugar, because they don't have nobody else to work the sugarcane field. So I guess they came up with this new idea, and they put this in your drinks, and it coagulates in your liver, and it adds up in your body, and you wonder why you've got diabetes and high blood pressure, because of the amount of high fructose corn syrup and the sodium and things that you're consuming. And it's like, they know, so they put it in the food, and you're still eating it. And it's like, then you go to the doctor, and you have high blood pressure. Then the pharmaceutical company, who's in cahoots with the food company of the places of the things you're eating, it now gives you a medication, because they've studied so much about you and took you apart to figure out that this medication will do this for you, and this will do that. But then you get another problem. So you have high blood, you take a pill for that. Then all of a sudden you take another pill. You have to take another pill because now you got kidney problems. If you just ate right, if you just ate more fruits and vegetables, if you found out what the people of your land, or your I'm not going to forget about the chemtrails. I'm not of your where you're from ate. Your genetics go according to that. Like, my grandma used to always make collard greens. There was a pot of collard greens on her stove every single day. When I had my first baby, and he was like 6 months old, she took him, set him on the table, mixed the cornbread with the collard greens, and fed it to him, and made him drink the juice. She was big every day, collard greens. So collard greens are a high source of iron and other vitamins that we need. It's things like that. But now we just open a can of vegetables, warm it up, and then you're eating it, or you buy frozen vegetables or whatever. We got to start looking at our diet and how our diet works with ourselves, because otherwise the cycle is going to continue. We have to stop. Yes, it was a really good book, Aboriginal. That was a good book. I liked it a lot. And Sprite, you can buy a machine to make your own carbonated water with natural ingredients, and you would save money because you would be using stuff you already have. Just throwing it out there.
Yeah, I mean, that soda thing, I mean, that's real
Yeah.
bad. Everywhere you
Yeah.
walk, you can buy a 6-pack of sodas for $1.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And man, and I told my cousin, he was just drinking them like water. And when I got here, I was like, dude, I mean, a 6-pack will be gone in 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm. And it doesn't quench your thirst. It leaves a sugary taste. You know what, you guys? Go a week without drinking anything but water. and then drink a soda, you're gonna be like, whoa, it doesn't work well. So if you're drinking a chemically based soda and then you're outside and you're trying to sweat or you're exercising or whatever, you're not really helping your body. You're giving it a super sugar rush, which is sending it all to your nerves and your brain, and you're all hyper and stuff like that. And then you come down off that sugar rush and you crash and you're all, ugh. And then your mood fluctuates and stuff too. No, soda's not good. I'm sorry.
Yeah, so I had a cousin. So I had a cousin who was
Mhm.
on that shit, and I was
Yeah.
like, "Dude, what you doing?" And so he was like, "What? What's wrong with it?" And this is what I mean. We perpetuate these type of ideologies. So I said,
Right.
"Well, look." I said, "Well, read the can." He wouldn't even read the can. I said, "Read the can." So we reading the can, and it's no calories, nothing good about it. So because I would ask him, "Is that good or bad?" He was like, "No, well, that's bad." And then we get down to where it says grams of sugar.
Mm-hmm.
And on the grams of sugar, on this particular can, it had 42 grams of sugar. And so I was like, he was like, well, he thought a gram was a grain of sugar. One little, if you took
Really?
that's what he thought a gram was. I was like, dude. And at the time, he was selling weed.
Uh-huh.
And he was selling gram bags.
Oh my God.
I'm like, so
Okay.
listen. So I said, look, so take one of them grams of weed, get 42 of them. That's how much sugar is in that 12-ounce can. That's how much sugar is in there. And he was like, are you serious? I'm like, dude, this is how they get rid of your ass. He's cut sodas out. This dude looked like a damn bodybuilder, and he don't lift no weights.
Yeah,
He
natural
cut.
form.
He totally. Just on that, he totally changed the way he looked. I'm like, dude, these cats out here, we're being poisoned with these foods.
Mm-hmm.
We're being poisoned with these foods. And so a lot of times when we're trying to give information, bringing you on here, a lot of us can't accept it because like the food you saying, it doesn't mix, it doesn't let those cells do what they supposed to do. They eating all kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, baby. We staying on this or are we moving forward?
We can move on. I cannot pronounce this word for the life of me, so I'm not even going to try. But this has to do with your nerve cells. It's kind of a filter cell that communicates between the both of your cells going to your brain and your other body parts. Once again, when you eat things like or drink things like a high level of sugar or the high fructose corn syrup, you gotta think that's entering into your neurons and so forth. And this is going into this, and you got to think about what it might do to anything that has to do with communication from your brain to your body. Because you ever notice, like, have you ever given a child a popsicle or a soda, and they are just phew everywhere because they got that sugar rush. So then they burn out and they're all like this. So you give them some fruit snacks and then they're all back to doing it again. So we're kind of creating that hyperism and ADHD in our own children by giving them those foods. And yes, the chemtrails. The one thing that I'm gonna throw out there while you guys are on here that I remember it is cilantro removes the metals from the chemtrails. That if you consume cilantro, it helps detox you from stuff like that. Parsley, cilantro, put it like in a smoothie or even in a tea. But it's something that does kind of help get those metals out your body, as well as like baking soda, like a little bit in water every day. Things like that. So you might want to, in regards to chemtrails, you want to do that, and you want to get an air purifier for inside your house. So just kind of throw that out there. Okay, we're done with that.
Okay. So this is where I'm at on that.
Okay.
So all these things that we say we need as a whole nation of people, shouldn't these be things that we ourselves produce? Shouldn't
those are things that we should produce. I mean, we should have, my opinion, a natural air purifier is a plant. If you have your house full of plants, you're cleaning your air. So those are things, you know, besides producing the air purifiers and the things that we need, like developing hospitals, engulfing more doctors who share our you know, our DNA. And so for is it something that we need to do in developing, like you just said, developing businesses that we can benefit from, as well as create products that are health. Yeah, I agree. We do need to do that.
I mean, because I think that I think these sales that you're talking about,
Uh-huh.
I think it's an attack. I think it's an attack on those sales. You
Yes.
know, now that you're explaining what these things do. So, like on this one right here, when you say that these sales, you were saying they go back and forth between other sales.
Yes.
What is that about? So because
Basic.
let me. I just want to say this.
Uh-huh.
What they'll do, they'll create a food or some kind of whatever, so those cells won't do that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, okay, yeah, because that's how I'm seeing that the cells are being attacked.
Yep.
So,
I mean,
so
if you
by what
if you
they
look,
do.
yeah, if you look at the like the things that are in chemtrails, I know one of the things that's in chemtrails is like a aluminum baranium or something like that. That's a metal. So if you're ingesting a liquefied metal that's in the air and it's going into your body, and then since you know, if you look at the internet, the radio waves and things like that, you got those metals in your body, so your body's picking up that because metal picks up currents, right? And that's a radio wave. So you have
Damn.
that in your body. Then you're eating food that's got high fructose corn syrup in it, or sodium phosphate or whatever. So you've got all that going into your body along with all the other poisons that are going on around you. And you're eating, you're not exercising, you're lethargic, you're creating health problems for yourself. You're making yourself the poster child for the pharmaceutical company who wants you to be that. They want you to be that because then the doctors get their cut and the pharmaceutical company makes money and the food company makes money. Because if you guys haven't watched the documentary, and if any, watch What the Health. Please watch What the Health. And after you watch it, please email me at I'll give it to you guys. But I want you to watch it and I want you to tell me how it made you think, because I know I could pass out information. And like I said, I'm not a licensed doctor. I'm not, you know, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nurse. I'm just somebody who likes to read and learn a lot of stuff. My mom is in the medical field, so I grew up around a lot of medical stuff. So it's always been interesting to me. And I have children, and I had two boys and my daughter that they always said had ADHD. And I was like, no, no, no. But I started kind of incorporating a better diet for them because I was young and stupid and buying groceries. But I started incorporating a better diet for them. And they wanted me to give them Ritalin. So I went and got some St. John's wort and I put it in the bottle because my son was like, we got to take medication because he thought this was the greatest thing ever. And I gave them the St. John's wort. And their whole behavior changed because St. John's wort is something that works for anxiety and disorders like that, supposedly. So I gave it to them and they improved and they never got the Ritalin. They were like, go. So I had to go back for the IEP so, you know, the school can get more money for that. And they were like, their behavior has changed so much. And I was just like, yeah, but they don't focus on the fact that we also don't learn the same way that they do. But that's a different subject as well. But so.
Yeah, I mean, so listen. So, what she's sharing today is just how your sales work, and you know the example she gave through they fly the chemtrails, the
Yes,
sugar,
chemtrail. Yeah.
that those affect those cells.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, you said all we gotta do is cut out some bullshit, and
Yeah.
we'll get back on track, huh?
Yep.
Cool. So, are we staying with this one, or are we moving
No,
on?
bingo. Let's go on.
Okay.
These are your muscle cells. And mitocytes are the cells that are found within the muscle tissue. And as you can see the pictures, and you guys can go through and read that stuff as well. But you got your smooth muscle, you got your cardiac muscle, which is your heart, because your heart's a big muscle. And then you have the other squamous muscle cells, which I can't really see because this is in my way. Hold on. Can you move this thing right here, or move it up a little bit? Oh, it's skeletal. Duh. Okay. All right. So muscle cells are basically controlled by your brain and your neurons and your nerve cells, and have your blood cells and everything flowing through them, veins, so forth and so on. But the muscle cells are key to keep in tune, and that's with exercise. You got to get out there and take walk or jump rope or do a sit up or push up, but you just can't sit, because then you let your muscles dissipate, and then you have muscular problems where you are having feet swelling. Also, going back to diet. So you got to kind of start using and exercising those muscles, and helping to get rid of that adipose tissue in between, because having a lot of fat around your intestines, your heart, your lungs is what causes things like high blood pressure, heart problems, and so forth. You can actually, my mom told me that if you're so overweight, a piece of fat can actually break off and go into your arteries and clog your heart, and that's what can cause a massive coronary heart attack.
Say that again. Wait a minute. Wait.
Yeah,
Say that again.
fat can get into your arteries because you're eating, so it's clogging. So the fat gets in your arteries, and when it finally closes off, it can cause you to have a massive heart attack, because you have a whole bunch of cholesterol and fats, like it's like oil and water going through your heart, and that's what's pumping your blood, and that's also like kind of the filter for everything. So when you have a lot of fat, when you're eating high fatty foods, when you're eating like fried everything and stuff like that, that's when your arteries become infected, because you're not drinking, you're probably not drinking enough water. Your diet is basically high fat, fried this, fried that, fatty meats and so forth. And you have to not eat like that, because it clogs your arteries. Those things can cause effects like blood clots, because you're not balancing out your diet. There are good triglycerides, I believe, and like I said, I'm not fully knowledgeable in this. They're like coconut oil, grape. One of the ladies that was on another show mentioned the grapeseed oil, avocado oil, and then you don't have to eat everything fried. You don't have to eat chips and everything like that. So your heart is the main muscle in your body that you should always be more concerned about taking care of, and as well as getting the proper amount of exercise. You need to walk. You need to not just sit in front of the TV. I mean, now that we're in this pandemic thing, I know that's kind of hard. Well, then order a DVD, turn on YouTube. Taebo, I used to do that all the time with my kids. You'll find it's fun. You'll start losing weight, and you'll start exercising those muscles, because if you're just sitting there, they're not getting what they need, and they have to have those amino acids and things being moved around, so that way you can stay in shape.
All right, I got a question.
Mm-hmm.
What about those cats who be walking around and they be having those things hanging down in the front of them? I don't know if it's in their stomach or whatever, but it's like another person hanging down in their stomach. What is that? I mean, is that cholesterol, and what is that?
The bloating?
I don't know what it is.
Yeah, well, okay, think about this for a second. That person, let's say they're about 35, right? They've eaten, their diet consisted of hot dogs, Polish sausage, hog-head cheese, crackers. I mean, all things that are great, but whatever. I mean, and it's like, and they don't exercise really. Genetics also complain to that, but you have all this food, right? You've never, ever, ever, ever had a colonic, ever in life. You want to know what it was? So you got all that fecal matter. You don't even know, like, if you get constipated, you might drink some prune juice, but you don't think enough that the fiber is going to help kind of still keep some of that out, get some of that out. So you got that bloating going on.
No, so when you say bloat kind of brings to mind something is blowing up.
No, bloating can be like your stomach being swollen, or you retaining a lot of water. I mean, you gotta.
Okay, but it's firm. What I'm talking about is those people. It's really like another. It's like it's another body. You know what I'm talking about?
Like sagging fat. Is that what you're talking about?
No, I'm
I
talking.
don't.
You know what I'm talking about.
No, I
Okay.
don't. I'm trying.
You've never seen a person. Their stomach is so big. It's like it's another person. You never
Okay.
seen that.
I've seen a person that big before. Yeah, that's yeah. So
Is that what I'm saying? Is that cholesterol? Is that undigested food?
that's all of
What
that.
what is that shit?
That's all of that. And then you got to think about this too. They have damaged their stomach muscles. I mean, when you get pregnant and your stomach muscles contract and so forth, but they've been like that for a minute, and so their stomach muscles are just done. And it's like, so that's why you have a lot of people who will lose weight and they have to have the surgery to get the oh my God. I'm sorry. I'm laughing at somebody in here. To get the excess skin because you stretched it out too, and those stomach muscles back. But I think I know what you're talking about now. Yeah, that's kind of gross.
Okay, because
Yes,
that's
down the line.
really
Yes.
a problem. And what I'm seeing around is that it, no, we're just trying to prolong life.
Right.
The people that's who's being attacked now. The people
Mm-hmm.
that have been here the longest, the elder people, the people
Mm-hmm.
who have a lot of knowledge, they're being attacked. The elderly. So
Yeah.
they can bring whatever this new stuff in. We're gonna have to use our bloodlines a lot different than what we've been doing.
Mm-hmm.
And having those people, because they got some brothers and sisters living long.
Yeah.
Damn.
My dad is 85.
Yeah. And these cats,
Mm-hmm.
I said, they out. I'm seeing cats who 85 going out to clubs. So I'm saying it's like they're prolonging their lives. They're doing something different than what the normal person does because the normal person doesn't go out to a club.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that's the answer, but I'm saying it's something. It's something that he's doing that's making him not age. He's not aging along with everybody else. I'm seeing a lot of people like that. A lot of the elder people like that.
My dad drinks goat milk
Damn.
once a month. He drinks goat milk every month. And what I find amazing about my dad is my dad was a heavy drug user in my childhood, and my grandfather lived to be 106, and my great grandfather lived to be 110. So I'm looking at my dad like he's gonna be here for a minute. But even though he abused his body, he's still like unstoppable. I'm glad that he's my dad in that aspect. But I like seeing that because my dad is a go-getter, and you can when he'll make pots of beef stew, and I'm like, Dad, beef is not. He was like, I've been eating like this my whole entire life. Leave me alone. I'm like, okay, fine, fine. And he'll shove a bowl on my face. I'm like, nope, I'm not eating. I'll eat the vegetables, but I'm not eating the beef. And he still drink water out the faucet. I had to get him to get the Brita filter thing to kind of clean the water. I had to explain to him, and he was like, "Well," I said, "Dad, just do it." And so he'll do things, but certain things he's not changing, and the goat milk is one of them. So, okay, what are we on to next?
We're on to cartilage cells.
Okay, so you guys know what bursitis is? It's like when you have like a pain in your elbow or like your knee, when your knee hurts and you can feel that pop when that has a lot to do with your bursitic sac. I think it's called. If I'm wrong, but it's the cartilage in between your knees and your elbows. That's basically those cells. That's what's helping protect your bones from rubbing together and so forth. And a lot of people suffer from things like bursitis. And I used to work for this company called Supple, and they made this drink for people who suffer from this as well as arthritis with that. But there's a supplement called conjointin and another one called glucosamine, which helps stimulate repair of cartilage cells. If anybody's ever suffering from anything like that, but basically these are your cushions in between your joints.
Oh, so I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, when you hit your foot like on the bedpost or something, and the pain doesn't come immediately, it takes like 4 or 5 seconds for it to come, and you know it's gonna come. What is that?
That's probably the fact that your toe, the nerve endings in your toe are realizing that you hit your toe and they're kind of going, wait a minute, I'm kind of shocked a little bit. And then once they realize they're not shocked anymore, they're like little people screaming, and that scream then transfers up to your brain, and then you feel pain. That's what that is.
So that's what all of these, oh, like you said, collard greens. When you look at a collard green got veins going all through it.
Mm-hmm.
Old man down here put a collard green up next to his arm, and you couldn't tell the difference.
Veins going all through it.
And he said, and that's how he explained connecting to the land. He said, man, you at home. These rivers and streams and stuff, it runs through you. So that's what I
Mm-hmm.
mean. That's why I'm glad you're on, and thank you for being on, because
Mm-hmm.
you're showing us ourselves in a different light, things that we can do, you
Mm-hmm.
know, things that what we really are. We're not what other people say we are.
No, we're
And
made
that's
up differently. Yeah.
yes, we're made
Yeah.
up differently, and I really appreciate you coming on sharing this. But I just always wanted to know, when you hit your toe, that 3 or 4 second delay, what is that?
Yeah, I think your body just got shocked. So it's like when you get in a car accident, so you bump your toe and you're like, oh wait, hold on, and then you start to feel pain because your nerve endings are saying, wait, no, what's that? And it's going to your brain. And it's like in regards to the burn victims too. It's like, you ever notice like when you burn your finger that you don't really feel like anything, it's numb, but then once it starts to repair, those platelets, everything starts traveling to that tip of your finger, it starts to hurt. That's because your nerve endings are repairing themselves so fast that now they can identify that there's damage, and you're going to feel the recessive energy from that, which is pain.
Pain hurts.
Yes, pain hurts some people. Some people like pain.
Oh, what is that?
What is what?
Not physical pain, emotional pain, psychological pain. Are people, are they trained to be that way, or is it? I mean,
You
what is
know,
that?
I wonder sometimes, because when I look at, like our ailments now, like you have ADHD, you have depression, you have all these different things that they've been able to identify and call something. But like in 1801, when your grandma when your grandma had, or no, your great grandma had your grandma, after she had the baby, was she able to diagnose herself as having postpartum depression, or did she just put on her little corset thing to hold her stomach in, and put the baby on her, however, and get to doing what she needed to do? It's just like, so it's like I'm trying to understand how they're able to label behavioral disorders in how they didn't exist then, but now they exist now. Why are we clinging to those? So I was just kind of curious on that too. I agree. That helped. We could go on to the next one whenever you're ready. Hello. Hold on. Oh, okay. I can't. Hold on a second. Okay, so I can't respond to the live comments, but I have questions like, do you guys have like family remedies that have been passed down from grandmas, that you guys use use
I,
use in your family?
you know what? And this is what I say, and this is why I say we got to connect back to the land. That's an
Mhm.
excellent question.
No, because I want to know, because something that I want to do, because I have things that I use that my grandmother and my mom and other women in my family have suggested, and I've found that they work. And so I think that we should put together, and I have no problem doing, like a book of remedies that we can pass along that will kind of give people ideas of things to make. Like I drink turmeric in a tea every morning. Um, some people might take, my grandma used to take grapefruit, and when you had a cold, and boil the whole grapefruit and put honey and stuff in it, castor oil. Remember Father John's? That shit is nasty. But stuff like that, castor oil. I had keloid scars on my scalp, and my mom put Clorox bleach on them, and they went away. So those are things that I'm saying that we need to kind of come together. I mean, and send me that stuff, and I'll put it in a book format, and we can create something so that way we can pass this along to each other, and we can have that, because we have to keep this going. With the fact that so many things are being done to us, from the psychological point, the health point, the everything, we need to kind of start working together to create some resources for ourselves. And that's something that, if you guys want to help me out with, I'd be willing to do. It's not that hard, and I can even get it published. So let me know. Mhm.
I think another thing that'll help too, people, if your grandparents are from somewhere else, your great grandparents are from somewhere else, if they're from the South, North Carolina, Virginia, Kentucky, Tennessee, Louisiana, in a place where farming is big, find out what those people used for medicines.
Yeah.
The people on the land at that time. Find out some of the things they use for medicine, and like the sister was talking about DNA, those properties are passed down to you, and you would be good taking those medicines. So that's why it's important to dig where your people are from, because they were doing things like you're doing things now, and they were taking medicines. What were they using for medicines? Those plants probably grow wild in the South, and we don't even know what they are. We'll cut them. We'll run them over with a lawnmower in a minute.
Yep, like elderberry. Elderberries are great for everything.
Right.
Like if you
So
have, yep, stuff like that.
yeah. So find out where your folks are from. Where what they do, because a lot of them were farmers. A lot of them
Hmm.
were farmers. And
You know,
you'll find, and those are medicines that could be marketed worldwide. These are the things that we have to be doing now, because this is your land. What did you do on it? Not what somebody taught you to do. What did you do before they came and taught you what to do? What did you do? I don't know. Nobody told me.
it's like, like for example, there's a shortage of hand sanitizer, and as you know, and there's a shortage of disinfectant spray. There's If you take certain ingredients and use like essential oils, you can create your own disinfectant spray for your house. You can also create your own hand sanitizer. I've made both, and they work great, and they smell better, and they're not so chemically. So that's, you got to look at like the things that you're gonna have a shortage on. Supposedly, you can make those yourself and keep an ample supply. So in retrospect to that being said, it's like we do need to bind together and find out what those medicines are, and we need to put it together, and we need to create some things for ourselves, so that way we have things going that help heal us.
Yes, ma'am. Are we still on the cartilage cells? Because
We
I
can
know I
go.
think.
Yeah, I can't move it, so that's why it's still there.
Okay. Okay.
Platelets. Platelets are basically the material that helps your blood clot. So it coagulates your blood at, like, if you cut yourself, um, and it's trying to stop the bleeding. And like, so there's something called an anticoagulant, which basically is a drug that you take so that way your platelets aren't causing your blood to clot. If you notice, like people who have heart problems sometimes, or vascular problems where they have like kind of a vein problem, they'll give an anticoagulant too, which will keep your blood from clotting or reduce the clotting because you're having too much going on. I can't see the thing, the whole, because of the, can you move the that, yeah.
What?
The thing with giving people showing their comments, can you move it down a little bit?
Okay. 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 I have to go. I have to go back and forth.
Okay, you
Okay.
know what? I'll pull up.
Is that the bottom?
Yeah, this thing right here. Okay. Well, basically, that's what platelets. That's what their function is. They something that also I think, if I remember correctly, have a lot to do with getting those fiber forming nutrients within your body. So that's what platelets do. You can go ahead.
What did you? Okay. One more time. What did you say? Platelets do?
They basically are they're coagulants. They help your blood clot. So like if you cut yourself or you have any type of blood vessel that gets damaged, platelets, swim up there and kind of cause it to repair.
So is that what? That's what those purple things are?
Yes.
Okay. So what's that going down the vein? That
Yep.
purple? Those.
It's going down the vein with the red blood cells and the white blood cells.
Okay. So what if you don't drink no water and nothing flows in your body? You just stop up, huh?
Yep. And we're going to get there. I got water up in there. We'll talk about
Okay.
that.
Okay. Okay. Excuse me. My
Yeah.
bad. Okay.
Bone cells. These are what create your bones. You have 3 different kinds. You guys can read through it, and that kind of help form the bone. Vitamin D is a big thing with bone development, as well as a lot of other minerals and supplements. But the bone cells, inside the marrow is where your white blood cells, I believe your platelets, and your red blood cells come from. So it's important to have good, strong bones, because that helps keep your blood healthy as well, that production and everything. So if you're eating, once again, a lot of soda, if you're, you can't eat soda, you're drinking soda, eating a lot of sugar and stuff like that, you can also cause issues in your body like osteoporosis, because you're not getting enough calcium as well as the other nutrients, and you're depleting your body with the sodiums and the sodas and the sugars. So, but a lot of, believe it or not, it's a big difference in indigenous women and in Caucasian women, because we tend not to have osteoporosis because of our diet. Believe it or not, our diets are pretty calcium sufficient.
Calcium. Okay,
Yeah.
so how does the calcium? I probably missed it. How is that calcium? What does that do to our teeth and bones? How is that important to us, and how is that passed off from the milk that's entering our bodies?
You
How
know,
does that?
milk is not actually the a key source for vitamin D or calcium. Believe it or not, collard greens are, and vegetables are, and like, we eat cheese, of course. Those things, you're gonna get some vitamin D from it, but it's not like the supreme source of vitamin D. It's sunlight, it's exercise, it's eating vegetables and fruits. And then if and believe it or not, like there's a calcium that's made from the inside of a shell, and you can get that at one of the like health food stores. That's another form of it. So I would say, like, if you happen to eat shellfish, you're getting some of that calcium, even though not so much now. But those are things that you look at. So it has a lot to do with the fruits and vegetables, the watermelon, the cantaloupe, the pineapple, stuff like that too. Milk is a mucus causing agent, but it does have some nutritional benefits in small amounts. But if you watch What the Health, they go into more detail about it. I'm not going to do that because I don't want to say the wrong thing.
Okay, so drinking cow's milk is cool.
Drinking cow's milk, in my opinion, is not cool, because of the fact that it's basically made for a baby cow. It's not made for a human. Now, growing up, I drank a lot of milk because that's what my mom and my family provided for me. And so, but as it's as an adult and researching it myself, I would say not to consume a lot of cow's milk, because it's not really, it doesn't really have that much nutritional value to it or what you really need. But if you're drinking it, make sure you're drinking it in quantity I mean, not just in there because it has a lot of cholesterol and stuff in it as well. Because like you think you got milk, you got butter, you got sour cream, you got yogurt, you got ice cream. So you're getting a lot of those fats from that, and that's also something that isn't made for you. It's made for a baby cow. Almond milk, cashew milk, coconut milk is good. And they have good amounts of calcium and stuff in it as well.
That oat milk is good too.
Oat milk, yeah.
I was going to ask you. Oh, now this might be something. Now this might be a good idea. Now I know everybody gonna trip on it at first, but if we drinking cow's milk, couldn't we do this? Would this be healthier for us? What about breast milk? But even when you're older, because if breast milk have a whole bunch of stuff that we need, why don't we use that as a bonus for ourselves? I'm just asking. You know.
You know what? Let me tell you something. There's a breast milk farm in Oregon. So people do buy breast milk and drink it.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, but you got to think about this for a minute. You got to look at it from the perspective of certain people. When you think of breast milk, people get offended when you pull out your breast to feed your baby. They want you to cover up and all that stuff like that. Because I breastfed and it was not a good thing when you were out in public. So either way, but if they've taken you apart and this everything from the situations like Sarah Bartman to things that happen here in America, they're taking apart so they know how valuable these nutrients are. So there's a whole breast milk farm in Oregon. You guys can look it up online, and people buy breast milk and drink it.
Yeah, I don't see what's wrong with that. Okay,
but
so
you have to, you got to look at people and their narrow-mindedness in regards to human sexuality as well, because they'll kind of confuse the two.
Right. Okay, let's move on to the next one.
Okay. All right, hair and skin. Epidermis, your hair follicle, it comes to your skin. It's broken into several layers, and that's where your keratin and the scar tissue, as well as the important things like your hair, come out your hair follicle. So that's all one system made of a whole bunch of different cells. You guys can read into it, but I'm going to let you talk about hair, Carrie. Go ahead.
No, I just, what is hair? So you see how the hair goes is outside the body, and it goes, through the skin, and it goes down, and the first set of veins that it connect to, you see that vein travels by the hair, and as you go down more, the hair, and if you ever pull out one of your hairs, you'll see that it's a little white. I don't know what it is.
It's follicle.
A follicle. Okay. Yep. The little white part. Mm-hmm. You see how it plugs into those veins down there? Because your hair is getting signals from the universe to transmit to your body. Now, I shouldn't have to explain this. This is common knowledge throughout the world. And how we are on that hair, shit, men and women, we have really screwed ourselves out of it's a $1 trillion industry for other people. And this is one of the reasons I say we make other people rich. And we happy about it. We throw our nose up in the air like we doing the right shit. We ain't. Less than 50 years ago, if you was a bald man, you got your head slapped, because these people here in America, everything grows. And what these people have done is they're killing us off real fast, and they're doing it with the hair. Most sisters that's old now, they ain't got no hair in their hair. Why? Because they spent their whole lives burning it up. It's something that we don't want to talk about, but we better stop playing, because we getting all this fake hair from other places, and you don't know what they putting in there. They got videos out now where all that hair coming through got bugs and all kind of shit in it. Better stop playing. You
Your
better
hair,
stop playing.
your hair is your connection. That's what it is. And when, it's your antenna. It's like a bug. It's, they have the little hairs. That's how they're able to feel what's going on around them. And that's what our hair is supposed to do for us. But when and I'm not knocking what people call protective hairstyles, braiding, none of that. I'm not knocking it. But what I'm saying is, for one, if you're going to put braids in your hair, when you get the hair, you need to say a prayer over it and kind of let it burn some sage. I'm one of those people, and kind of clear that energy from that trauma that hair has experienced. Because remember, it was connected to somebody's head at one time. So you got to think about that process. But either way, your hair is your connection to your environment. It's your antenna, it's your filter. It stops stuff from coming in. And so when you're taking other beings' hair and you're putting it in yours, you're blocking yours. You're blocking your airflow to your hair, which you need. You're blocking the sunlight to your hair. And then you walk around slapping your head because your head underneath is itching. And then they take it out and you got these big old flakes of skin because you ain't got no moisture. You got some bacteria buildup on your scalp and all kinds of stuff. I mean, it's what people do. And I do believe that the hair from India is cursed. I made a post about that and got kind of cussed out, but either way, I agree with you on that. I do. And I don't think that that's something that we should do. We need to learn how to maintain our own hair. And it's like, our natural hair is beautiful. The fact that it had to be covered up or straightened to work in the domestic industry with the Madam C.J. Walker type of story, I think goes to show you how jealous and maniacal they were against our hair to make us have to go through that, to do that. And relaxers to this day have never been scientifically studied, and they have lye and other chemicals, and they're seeping to your brain. So you got to really think of, and the glue for hair too, you got to think about all those chemicals you're putting into your hair and on your hair. And yeah, using synthetic hair is a good one too. If you're gonna do braids, I do braids. I don't, if I have locks now, but I did braids for a long time, and to make my relaxer grow out, because I had that at one time. And so once it did, I cut it all off and started over new again. So it's like, we got to start taking care of our own hair with the oils, the bear fat. There's even something that I saw somebody mentioned about a hairline. There's something that's called cheba powder that a tribe in Africa uses, and their hair is very similar to native hair. And it's just like, if you look it up, it's called cheba powder. They put it in their hair, and their hair is like really long. So it does something to the hair follicle that helps stimulate it. So you might want to look into something like that. And yeah, relaxers do cause problems with female reproductive systems. I think it's a lot leading to fibroid tumors in your uterus. That has a lot to do with it too. So.
I mean, so isn't this information like readily available? I mean,
Yeah.
the information you're talking about is not. I mean, it's out there.
Yes, it is.
So
You just have
like,
to want to find it.
okay, so like when people say, "Well, I've never heard of Dr. Sabi," what how do people moving forward and looking for a way when we're being attacked from these sides? How do we take that in?
Well, if you, I personally, if you haven't heard of Dr. Sabi, you are not really opening up your, being open-minded, I guess. But I think that kind of shows how much of a rock people actually live under, and how much they really don't go outside of their comfort zone.
And I'm not saying this to pump Dr. Sabi. I'm
Mm-hmm.
just saying that he has some really good ideas on nutrition
Mm-hmm.
for us.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I mean. Some of those ideas, couldn't they be concocted with some other people who did some other things?
Yeah, they can. There's you gotta, you just have to get on. The only source that we have right now is our books, and and getting online and you know, all that information is there. That's where I found a lot of this information that I have on the PowerPoint. But I also, you know, YouTube has a great source. You can put in Layla Africa, and it's going to lead you to someone else and someone else and someone else, and you take from it what you need. But you have to be willing to look for the information.
Okay, that's what I wanted to show you guys about the hair follicle. It connects to all. It connects to the veins and the what's being transported through the body. It it gives your hair a signal, but also your hair gives it a signal from what it gets from the outside. So that's what I'm saying, just on a one-on-one basis. So these are some of the things we have to know about ourselves. With the hair, you get your because what she's talking about is cells. What it all boils down to, since you're in one body, you're one cell yourself. But since you have fingers and a mind and all this other things, you can do other things. What she's breaking down, the cells in your body, they all add up to you, basically. And as one person, if you think about all the work you've done in your life, you've done a lot of shit. I would suggest that the people who are called African Americans, they turn that energy onto themselves. That's all I'm saying. The energy that you expend on other people and wanting to be other people, have other people's clothes and blah, 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 blah. Turn that on yourself. So are we cool? Are we still going with the hair and cells?
Yeah, we can go ahead. We can go. Okay, so these are endothelial cells, and this is what lines your blood vessels. This is what prevents like nitrous oxide. It also helps and assists with blood clotting, the actual formation of the blood vessels in utero, as well as repairing if any are ever cut. You know, where inflammation can take place or be prevented, blood pressure and water regulation. So this is a cell that basically absorbs all the water you drink, and this would also be the one where you would be able to tell if a person is dehydrated because of this cell level not being at sufficient. Like when they take your blood, those cells are going to be in there, and they'll be able to say, well, they don't drink enough water, or they drink a lot of soda, or something like that. But that's normally where that comes from, because they're not hydrated enough. And you've got the wrong foods like high sodium and salts and stuff like that. So those are basically the cells that surround your blood cells. I mean, your blood vessels.
Okay, let me just share this with the audience real quick. This is important. I don't know how many of you have ever had a colonic, but this is what I've been taught. Every person has about 8 meals in their body at one time. This think about that. I mean, that's being processed through your body at a time. When you get those colonics, what it does, it hydrates down, down through the anus to open up to that water, makes those cavities real heavy and opens up, allowing a lot of the waste to come on through. I would suggest, if you've never had that done, to at least check it out. Plus, it'll get a lot of that stuff out of your body that you don't need in there, and it'll also teach you to stop eating so much. But the hydration, we can't be having these sugars and all these toxins and these high fructose corn syrup going through our bodies, because that clogs us up, and it makes us not a valuable or a better conduit where we can share, where we can give, where we can receive. It slows that down, especially amongst each other. So, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. You guys also know that when you're drinking water, a lot of people like ice cold water. I mean, it's good, but it doesn't absorb in your body as fast as drinking room temperature water. So if you really want to quench thirst, you want to drink your water at room temperature. because it helps absorb. It's like within the in the cultivation site, we can't give the plants a certain amount, a certain temperature water, because it'll put the plants into shock. Your body is kind of the same way, but it kind of covers it because of the fact that you generate a natural heat. So that cold water coming into your system is going to eventually warm up. And that takes a lot of energy from your body to do, and blah, blah, blah. But drinking that water kind of room temperature is a little bit better for absorption and kind of dealing with hydration issues.
Are we staying on this one, or are we moving ahead?
We can go. Let's go ahead. Okay, epithelial cells are your skin. They are in your blood vessels as well, and also your urinary tract. They basically are barriers, filters from outside your body, and protect you from viruses and so forth. You'll have some in your urine when you take a urine test, but they basically are responsible for absorption. They secrete, like when you have a pimple and you bust it, that secretion has those type of cells in it. Basically a protective and an underlying tissue that kind of helps build and keep everything else maintained.
Next.
Sex cells. So we have our sperm cells, we have our ovum. Men, sperm, women, ovum. Both carry a chromosome in each cell, or your chromosomes, your DNA, and so forth and so on. But the one thing that I want to talk about with sex cells is a lot of times women who drink or who use over-the-counter drugs, as well as illegal drugs like cocaine and stuff like that, when they have the baby will have an addiction or some type of physical ailment as well, as that you can actually see. No one ever really actually looks at the diet and the habits of men, and how those same habits can bind to the sperm cell. So you think about this for a minute. Man does cocaine. That cocaine binds to his sperm cell. He creates a child with the woman, so forth. She's using cocaine. That child now has got kind of double potented in regards to the cocaine use, not only in the developmental stage, but also in the stage while it's developing inside the mother. And then the child's born, you have a baby that's addicted to cocaine. And then, even though the baby goes through the withdrawal and so forth and so on, you don't know the brain, how the brain was affected. You don't know how any of the organs were affected during the developmental stage because of what the father did. So now you gotta wait for the child to get older, and you start noticing behavioral issues such as ADHD, autism, and other forms of mental retardation, as well as health issues. So we both, I feel, males and females need to start looking at their reproductive organs as well as yourselves if you want to have children. And right now, I wouldn't suggest that, but having a child with what's going on, but you have to really, really look at what you're putting into your body and how it would affect your future children, and start looking at detoxing yourself in regards to that too. Not just from foods, not saying everybody's out there doing drugs, but that's what happens when you both are using cocaine, or like you take a over-the-counter cold medicine and things like that. Those things bind to every cell, and that would be your sex cells as well. Go on. Yeah, I did a little bit more on that too. You guys can kind of read through it, but it's just basically saying that your diet for men can also affect your sperm production, and also women, it can affect your fertility rate. So like drinking a lot of things with high fructose corn syrup in it, eating things that have artificial steroids and chemicals in it, that can happen to you as well. So nutrition is important for both. High sugar is definitely not something that you want to do, because those ailments caused from high sugar, like diabetes, as what can cause issues with male reproductive organs as well as cells, and in women. You want to talk about this one with the melanin in the sun?
Yes.
Okay. So as we all know, melanin is like a natural form of sunblock. I put this in here, but I wanted to kind of compare the two to being exposed to the sun, because standing out in the sun boost your levels of vitamin D, where you don't need any synthetic forms of vitamin D. If you get enough sun rays, get enough sun, you will get your daily amount of vitamin D. There's an app for us who have our smartphones that I can put into the chat or something, and it tells you when the sun's going to come out, when the best time is to get the best sun and so forth, and it goes according to your area. But the melanin portion of it is basically what gives us the ability not to burn. So as you already know, everybody knows about melanin because it's been talked about a lot. So you got anything, Carrie?
No.
Ginger is really good in your food, and cayenne pepper is really good in tea. Add it to tea, and all of the things that you're mentioning in here, the coconut oil, all of that. I agree, Keith. That's really good stuff. All right, so this is water, and I can't see the full slide. But water is used throughout your whole entire body. Pepsi isn't, Kool-Aid isn't, juice drink is not, water. So drinking the right amount of water and so forth, it will definitely help everything in your body, from your cells, from the cartilage cells, because it helps to cushion your joints. It helps convert food into energy. It helps your body absorb nutrients. It's just basically, it provides osmosis for everything that's good going into your body, if that's what you choose to, do. So water is definitely key to everything. And another thing is too, to get fluoride out of water, if you happen to have to use sink water, is you can put a bay leaf in it. And also alkaline water you can make with a key lime and some Himalayan salt. And copper water bottles are really good too. Another sister had spoke about it on another show, but after she spoke, I looked it up, and copper water bottles provide you with the minerals that you need from copper. Copper is something that we need to incorporate into our existence. Definitely.
Water. I mean, these are so in relationship to our cells.
Mm-hmm.
Water, wind, air, fire. What's the other one? Earth, wind, fire, and water.
Mm-hmm.
Those four elements. What do those four elements do to our cells? Or how are they related, or how do they work together in some kind of way? Because water, I mean, I know we probably look at water like water really ain't shit, but it is. How do those four elements, what do they do to our cells?
Water helps, like I said, helps your body absorb the nutrients from the food and the supplements that you eat. It also keeps your skin supple, and if you stay hydrated, you're healthy, because everything's working in sequence. When you don't drink water and you kind of become dehydrated, you notice how your urine is dark, and then you might get dark circles under your eyes. So water is like the one thing that helps everything flow in the way that it's supposed to.
Wow.
Wind is basically, in my opinion, annoying, but wind, like, is something that, you notice how on a hot day you'll get wind, and you can feel the coolness from it because your nerve endings and the hairs on your body kind of stand up. So I don't know really how to put this, but I think that that's what wind is there for. It's kind of one of those things that it's like a natural air conditioner. And also it depends on where you are in a wind, like out in sandstorms, wind is not fun. But I think that wind plays a key in being able to blow around seeds if they're available, and plant life growing, and kind of helping with that part of our evolution or growth. But in regards to the cells, I really didn't see a way to kind of put it into context how it would help our cells besides providing a cooling feeling.
I mean, but you breathe.
Yeah, breathe. That's true. Air, yes, air, definitely.
Yeah.
Yep.
So okay, cool.
and the importance of cellular nutrition. So cellular nutrition is something that helps clean the toxins out of your cells, and like metals, and other pollutants that we have in our body. So by eating a lot of fruits, vegetables, legumes, and a lot of the suggestions that I see people making, that helps keep your cells strong. And that's something that, we need to focus on, is getting those toxins out of our cells, so that way our immune systems are strong, and we're not we're susceptible to a lot of the stuff that's going to be going on, and that is going on with our environment.
Oh, okay, if the environment we live in, what are some of the best ways the cellular nutrition, we can keep the cells working at its optimal growth?
Proper nutrition, fruits and vegetables, water, exercise, rest, and a lot of these great ideas like the water, the papaya seeds, the Himalayan salt, so forth. Following taking some of this advice that we're now talking about, so that way we can kind of focus on detoxing those cells too. But definitely, changing your diet. If you haven't changed your diet by now, if you're, and I notice a lot of people on here have, but if you haven't changed your diet for you to be healthier by now, you are kind of living under a rock, because it's important for us to have optimal health. And so, reaching out, looking up information, trying to find out ways to improve your nutrition, like in exercise. So go ahead if you're ready.
Yeah. I mean, you're absolutely right, and some of the comments in the chat, it's really appreciated, all you guys. I
Mm-hmm.
can't get to all of them, but there's some good ideas. A lot of people have some excellent ideas of nutrition.
Yes.
A sister living in Texas might have a whole menu that we've never heard before. So we have to take those ideas and change them and trade them amongst each other. So cool. So we'll go to the next one.
And this is just something that tells about how I couldn't get the whole thing up there, but you can look it up online. It tells you how your cells and the effects from your cells being polluted. Like, you got coarse hair, you got dry eyes, mood swings, low energy. And then I put some information about how to detox your cells. You can, go online, look that up too, because like you got Dr. Sebi's cell food, even though I don't know if everybody's still kind of with his products, but you can create your own. There's the ones that I saw that were based off of Dr. Sebi that were on Amazon. You can just get the foods like the cilantro, and I put a list on here, I think, on the next screen. But basically, I think that detoxing our cells is going to be key, so that way we can start getting the optimal nutrition value from the food we eat. And this is it right here. Like, you got like dandelions, the dandelion leaves, turmeric, beets. I've heard of kale, okra. I'm sure everybody has some really good stuff to throw in there. Fruits, vegetables, black seed oil, caladium silver. I use an infused CBD water. It's called Swish. It has like the CBG and the CBD and a lot of minerals and stuff in it. I use that. I also use like a caladium silver, elderberry oil, or the oregano oil, which is disgusting. If you take it by the dropper, it's gross. But I use stuff like that, and then I make teas and tinctures and things like that too. So there's a whole bunch of different things that can definitely help with keeping our immune system strong and detoxing ourselves. And if we have them all and we have great ideas, like I said, I can put them all together. We can definitely create something from it. But it's definitely information that we want to pass around, as well as gain on our own.
Okay, could you give the audience your contact information before you?
It's infusevirgo@gmail.com.
Cool. Well, listen, this is Sunday. I know everybody got to run off to church, so I'm not going to keep everybody. I just want to share this little information with you, because it's something about our cells, and our cells make up who we are. And I think the sister gave ample information on the cells, how we can get better usage from our cells, and how it can be used for our benefit. So, Infuse Virgo, I want to say thank you again for joining us and sharing. And I
Mhm.
want to thank the audience for joining and coming in and sharing your thoughts, ideas with us also. Until next time, peace.